You weren't born to drift. You weren't designed to see what happens. You were made to aim sharply, relentlessly, unapologetically. But look around. Most people are floating, days bleeding into weeks, weeks collapsing into years. And one day, they wake up and realize they traded their entire existence for nothing more than survival. Why? Because they never decided what they were living for. Let that sink in. Your life is not determined by your potential. It's determined by your direction. And direction starts with a definite major purpose, not a wish, not a vague idea, but a reason so strong, so magnetic, it drags you out of bed when your body begs for sleep. It keeps you moving when the world tells you to quit. It blinds you to the noise and burns away the excuses. Think of the legends. Ford didn't just build cars. He built a vision so clear, so precise, that it pulled steel and sweat and spirit into alignment. Right, brothers? They weren't trying to fly. They decided to defy gravity. No backup plan. No exit strategy. Just obsession, carved into every breath, because they had purpose, not borrowed, not trendy, but definite. And in a world full of wandering souls, the man with purpose becomes a force of nature. You see, the universe doesn't reward hesitation. It doesn't respond to half-hearted intentions. It only bends to those with unshakable clarity, to the man who declares, "This is what I will achieve, no matter how long, no matter the cost." So ask yourself, what are you building? And don't tell me a better life. Tell me the shape, the color, the smell of your mission. Describe it like it already exists. Speak it like a prophecy, not a prayer, because clarity is power. And when your purpose becomes clearer than your fears, everything changes. Distractions lose their pull. Comfort becomes uncomfortable. And suddenly, mediocrity is no longer acceptable. That's what a definite major purpose does. It doesn't just give you a goal. It gives you permission to become dangerous. No more fitting in. No more apologizing for your ambition. No more waiting for someone to validate your dream. Because when your purpose is real, you don't ask for permission. You move like it's already yours. Let me tell you something that no one else will. Most people fail not because they lack ability, but because they never committed to a mission worth bleeding for. They dabble. They try. They hope. But hope without direction is just spiritual wandering. You don't hope your way into greatness. You decide. You commit. You burn every bridge that leads back to comfort. And here's the brutal truth. Without a definite major purpose, you are disposable. You become a cog in someone else's dream machine. You're given tasks instead of targets, wages instead of wealth, noise instead of meaning. But with purpose, you become magnetic. People follow you, not because you're loud, but because your clarity pierces through their chaos. Because in a sea of confusion, you become a lighthouse. So no, you don't need more motivation. You need a mission. You need a future so vivid it haunts your present. A vision so deep it invades your thoughts, your posture, your heartbeat. And once you've found it, once you've declared it, you're no longer just living, you're leading. 明确目标法则, once the purpose is set, there is only one thing that matters next: belief. Not the belief that things will work out. That's not belief. That's wishful thinking. Real belief is fire. It's forged in silence, tested in chaos. It's the voice inside that says, even if no one sees it, I do. And if you don't believe it before it's real, you'll never last long enough to see it become real. Because life will test you hard, not once, not twice, relentlessly. There will be days when the vision feels blurry, when the doubt screams louder than the dream. And it is precisely in those moments that belief becomes your armor. Not comfort, not praise, just belief. Think of Edison. 0 failed attempts, not to invent the light bulb, but to refuse to surrender the vision. Not because he had proof it would work, but because his faith in the outcome was stronger than his fear of failure. That's belief. But belief without discipline, that's fantasy. Because a purpose is not fed by feelings. It is fed by decisions, by rituals, by ruthless self-command. Discipline is doing it when it's boring, doing it when it's lonely, doing it when nobody is clapping. Discipline is what separates the amateur from the architect of destiny. It's what makes the man wake up at 4 a.m., not because he loves mornings, but because his mission demands more from him than sleep. You see, the modern world has poisoned your brain with convenience. One-click answers, fast food, instant dopamine. But purpose Purpose doesn't care about your feelings. Purpose doesn't show up on discount. Purpose demands that you give more than you thought you could, and then more after that. And that's where action comes in. Because without action, belief dies, purpose rots, dreams decay. You are not made to think about becoming. You are made to become through doing. The man who acts wins. Not because his path is easier, but because he keeps swinging while others wait for clarity. He walks through fog with fire in his chest. He doesn't need the whole staircase lit. He just takes the next step with conviction. Every legend you admire, they weren't born with clearer skies. They just moved while others froze. They built while others questioned. They believed when evidence was scarce. And they acted when no one else had the courage to begin. So ask yourself, when was the last time you kept your own promise? When was the last time you said, I'll do it, and then actually did? Not for applause, not for recognition, but because you said it, and that made it law. If your word to yourself means nothing, you have no power, because self-trust is the foundation of all success. You don't get what you want, you get what you build daily. And that structure, the empire, the future, the revolution, it begins in the boring. It begins in the no one's watching. It begins in the quiet mornings and the lonely nights. That's where giants are carved. Don't chase momentum, create consistency. Because belief will give you wings, but discipline will give you muscle. And action, that's the blade you swing against every excuse, every delay, every whisper that tells you to wait. You want to know how people become unstoppable. They do the work when it's not exciting. They show up when it's not convenient. They act not because they feel ready, but because their purpose is louder than their hesitation. Let that become you. Let your days become execution. Let your life become evidence. You don't need more time. You need more decisions followed by action. That's how you build. That's how you rise. That's how you become the kind of person who doesn't hope for a better life, but builds it with bloody hands. Vision is not about seeing the future. It's about declaring it. It's not what you hope might happen if things go well. It's what you commit to creating, no matter who doubts, no matter what breaks. Vision doesn't whisper. It commands. It doesn't wait for approval. It shapes reality. Because when you live with a vision that is bigger than your excuses, you become immune to the noise. Do you think Walt Disney stopped drawing because bankers laughed at him? Do you think Elon Musk paused SpaceX every time a rocket exploded? No, they saw something no one else saw and kept building brick by invisible brick. That's the kind of vision you need. One that makes comfort feel like poison. One that pulls you forward when fear claws at your ankles. One that won't let you sleep when you've betrayed your potential. But here's the part they won't tell you. Vision is expensive. It will cost you friendships. It will cost you nights, comfort, security. It may even cost you who you used to be, because growth is destruction. You don't evolve by adding. You evolve by burning what no longer serves you. And to walk that road, you need more than talent. You need resilience, not the fake kind that posts quotes, the real kind. The kind that rises when your plan shatters. The kind that fights when your spirit is cracked. The kind that laughs in the face of impossible. Resilience is not built in success. It's carved in chaos. You don't find your strength when things are smooth. You find it in the storm, when the world says no, and you say, watch me. Because purpose without resilience is just a daydream. Every mountain will test your legs. Every valley will whisper doubt. But it's the man who walks through both that builds the summit. And how do you build that kind of mental iron? Simple. You keep learning. You don't stop. You don't plateau. You study yourself like a weapon in development. Every day is feedback. Every mistake is a sharpening stone. Every failure, a curriculum. You want to be unstoppable. Become obsessed with learning. Learn from those ahead of you. Learn from your enemies. Learn from the silence. Because when you stop learning, you start dying. Carnegie didn't grow because he knew more. He grew because he kept asking. Rockefeller didn't rise because he had perfect plans. He rose because he adapted faster. And you? You either become a student of your own life, or you become a prisoner of it. So read, listen, reflect, not for trivia. Not for trivia, for transformation. Your mind is the forge. Your habits are the hammer. The fire is your pain. And the blade you're building, that's your future self. But beware. Learning is not watching. It's implementing. It's getting punched in the face by reality. Then adjusting the next swing. True learners don't chase approval. They chase better questions. They seek friction. They hunt the edge of discomfort because that's where evolution lives. And if you commit to that, if you let your vision stretch you, if you choose resilience over retreat, if you build a hunger for growth that no comfort can satisfy, then you will become dangerous, not to others, but to every version of you that once settled. And that, my friend, is freedom, not safety, not applause, but the knowing that you are no longer living beneath your design, that you are no longer asleep inside your own life. You are becoming who you were meant to be. So what now? You've seen the fire. You've heard the voice. You've glimpsed the version of yourself that won't settle. But none of it matters. None of it without clarity. Clarity is the blade that cuts through chaos. It is the power to say, this is what I want, not someday, not maybe, now. Most people live foggy lives. They say they want success, but can't define it. They say they want freedom, but haven't designed a path. They're not confused because life is hard. They're confused because they've never decided what they're fighting for. So you must ask yourself the brutal question, what do you want? Not what sounds good, not what they taught you to chase. What sets your lungs on fire? What keeps you up at night, wondering, what if I don't try? Write it, name it, make it real. Because without a target, you are a loaded weapon with no direction, dangerous to everything except your own dreams. But clarity alone isn't the destination. It's the map. The next step is the engine, the purpose behind it all. Purpose is what makes the journey worth the pain. Purpose is what makes you kneel in failure and stand up again. It is not a slogan. It is not a motivational quote on your wall. It is a reason to breathe with fire in your chest. You don't live for the applause. You live to build the impossible. You live to become evidence that the human spirit cannot be tamed. Purpose turns your why into a weapon. It's what makes the difference between a man who tries and a man who transforms, between surviving and dominating. And that leads us here, to the moment most run from, the decision. Because eventually, purpose demands more than thinking, writing, or visualizing. It demands sacrifice. It demands the death of who you were and the birth of who you must become. That transformation begins with a choice, a real choice, the kind that says, I no longer ask for permission to become great. I will not water down my vision to make others comfortable. I choose pain over regret, growth over safety, purpose over popularity. That kind of choice is terrifying, because once it's made, there's no going back. But it is also the most liberating thing you will ever do, because the moment you decide, truly decide, the world begins to move. Doors crack open, people appear, energy floods in, not because the universe is magical, but because you finally became unavailable for anything less. It is not luck. It is alignment. It is the violent shift that occurs when you become a man or woman of non-negotiable intent. So stand in that fire. Let the doubt scream. Let the comfort call. And walk anyway. Walk like your legacy is waiting. Walk like your children are watching. Walk like your soul refuses to die quiet. Because in the end, no one will hand you greatness. No one will beg you to rise. No one will build your future for you. It is you, only you, and the choices you make in silence. So choose power. Choose clarity. Choose pain if it leads to purpose. Choose the kind of life that when they speak your name, they speak it with awe, because the man with a definite major purpose cannot be stopped. Not by failure, not by time, not by the world. He rewrites his fate with every breath, and he leaves behind a world that will never be the same again. Now go, write your name on history, in sweat, in scars, in stone.